One Piece is one of the longest running manga and anime series that's still active today, with well over 700 episodes in the anime, and plenty of video games to go along with it that started off back in the 5th generation with the PlayStation and WonderSwan. But there's a brand new One Piece game for the PlayStation 4, and it's a new fighting game, One Piece Burning Blood. But is the game truly worthy being known as the Pirate King, or is it just a bunch of bad devil fruit? One Piece Burning Blood is a brand new fighting game by the same team that brought us J-Star Victory's Versus last year. It has a very similar play style to that game, as well as the team also was one of the ones that worked on the original Budokai Tenkaichi series, so you can definitely see some influence when it comes to One Piece Burning Blood. Burning Blood's fighting system is arena-based, where you're allowed to move all around the environments. You're not forced on any kind of 2D or linear path facing off against your opponent. So you can unleash various moves and move around your opponent freely in order to attack them from behind if you wish. The game's actions vary pick up and play, but definitely has some complexity to it for you to master the longer you end up playing through when you want to pull off more hardcore combos. You have your strong and weak attacks, as well as guard and jump for your face buttons. Holding down L1 will allow you to unleash your special moves with each of the characters. You don't have to worry about quarter circles or left, right, square in order to pull off things. Everything is very easy to pull off. In fact, the game even has an easy mode for the controls, so you can pull off things even easier. Holding down R1 will allow you to kind of power up your character, or in some characters' instances, allow them to use their Lugia ability, which basically allows them to turn into whatever element they are and be able to block any attacks that are coming their way. The game features also stuff like guard breaking, as well as assist combos with your allies that you have on your same team. While the game is all one-on-one action, there are 2 and 3-on-3 battles where 2 people are facing off and you can swap in and out at any point to your other characters, and once a character is defeated, they're eliminated from the match, and it keeps going until one team is completely gone. Besides the meter that affects your power-up and Lugia moves, you'll also have the gauge in the corner that will fill up, and you can use certain amounts of the gauge in order to pull off some of your assist combos using your other team members, but also once it's filled out, you can kind of go into your rage mode and be able to pull off your ultimate special move. Thankfully, they're all very easy to pull off, as every character's is just a simple press of R3 to activate the mode, and then R3 once again in order to pull off your ultimate finishing move. While the combat is pretty simple to learn, there is a large variety when it comes to the characters on the roster, as there is over 40 for you to pick from, and each one is bringing their own unique styles and moves to the table. There's also over 60 support characters from the One Piece universe that can really help turn the tides of battle. Increases of attack, defense, bringing down health, or raising health back up, increases to your different meters that you'll have to worry about, all of which can really end up helping you out depending upon who you end up selecting. Support characters can actually be activated either automatically during certain situations in combat, whether a character is knocked out of the battle or you end up doing certain moves, as well as other ones can be activated at any point. Each of the support characters is different, so you'll have to mix and match in practice and figure out which ones are going to aid you the best with your particular team. While there is that large variety to the character roster, unfortunately when it comes to the gameplay modes, there really isn't as much. You have your main single-player story mode, which goes through the Marineford period of time, the big naval conflict with Ace about to be executed, and you get to see this part of the story through the eyes of Luffy, Whitebeard, Akainu, and Ace, and each of them will play different battles as you're making your way through the map. There's about 5 to 7 per the first 3 stories, and unfortunately Ace is only a couple of stories. You can unlock extra battles as well. These more challenging fights are unlocked when you meet various victory conditions during the other main story matches. But once you've completed these sets of stories, there isn't anything else major when it comes to the story in the game. The other big single-player mode, though, is the One Versus mode. Here you'll have a whole bunch of pretty much random battles. You'll start off with one set of them and pretty weak battles, and they'll increase in difficulty the more and more you do. After completing a certain number of matchups, you'll be able to unlock the next kind of tier and keep working your way through a series of tiers with various One Piece characters basically giving you the bounties for these particular characters and matchups. But basically what it equates to is kind of a challenge mode. There is no storyline content elements or cutscenes that you'll see other than the ones that happen at the beginning of a matchup where some characters may interact with one another depending upon who's currently in the battle. But outside of that, there's really no cutscenes or story really to be had here. It's just a whole bunch of random matchups, but it will definitely occupy a good amount of your time. In fact, I spent more time in that mode than I did during the game's main story mode. There is, of course, also free play mode where you and a buddy can battle off against one another, picking any of the characters that you've already unlocked or bought, as well as picking the various different arenas. Now, while the game's main story takes place in only that one part of One Piece lore, there is a bunch of characters from outside of that, going into the Colosseum and Doflamingo, and Law is involved, and just a whole large amount of characters from outside of that part of history, but unfortunately there is no story mode to go along with all those characters, which I think they dropped the ball a little bit with. Now, there is, of course, also online for ranked and player matchups. You can, of course, create a room and set it up with different variables to face off against randoms or your friends online, and the matchups worked perfectly fine. I didn't really run into any lag or any issue when it came to the matchmaking system, but it's pretty typical standard online fare. The other online mode, though, which was a bit more interesting, was the Pirate Flag Battle. Here, similar to Mortal Kombat 10, you get to pick a faction, and you represent that faction for the course of a season, which lasts 7 days in real time. And during that time, you're going around the map of this big world map of One Piece areas and getting to set up battles, either taking on opponents or setting up defenses, and basically trying to earn as many points for your faction, and then the winning faction will, of course, get some rewards out of doing so. From a technological standpoint, the game ran fine. I think the graphics look pretty darn good, all the character models that are included, and there's a lot of characters here, so I really think One Piece fans will just love the variety to the characters, and there's a lot of even support characters that I haven't really seen represented in any way in a lot of other One Piece games that I've played through. Even at the most intensive times of the combat, there was no slowdown. And while it may be as simple to kind of pick up and play, the complexity of trying to master the various different combos, what can combo into another move, being able to block and guard against your opponent's attacks, or quickly dash behind them in order to deliver a combo of your own. There is definitely a lot of fun. You also have clashes with your opponents where sometimes you both may attack at the same time and neither one is able to get an advantage, and you have to quickly think on your feet to decide what you go for next in order to try to hit your opponent. If you're a big One Piece fan, you may be disappointed at just the fact that there's only that one bit of story mode. It's told well with a bunch of cutscenes and voice acting, all in Japanese. There is no English voice options here, but unfortunately it's a really short story mode. In fact, it took about 3 hours or less for me to battle through all the story modes, and throwing the EX fights at it maybe about a half an hour at most in order for me to complete. The Wanted mode definitely ended up taking longer, doubling the amount of time that I was able to spend with the game's main single player, and I still have more Wanted posters in order to tackle. However, if you're a One Piece fan that also has a lot of friends that love the series as well, this could be a great party fighter, either online or in the same house. You will definitely enjoy the amount of characters that are in the game and the variety when it comes to that, and there's a lot of fun that can be had when you're battling your friends, for sure. But if you're looking for that single-player fighting experience or looking for a really complex fighter, you're probably not going to find it here with One Piece Burning Blood. Overall, though, I did enjoy the combat system, and I enjoyed the game a lot better than I ended up enjoying J-Star Victory Versus from last year from the same developer. If you're a big One Piece fan, you may want to check out the game regardless, but I think this game is a good building block. They now have a great foundation, and I hope that they're able to make a sequel to Burning Blood, because there's a lot to be positive about here. There just needs to be a bit more added to it, and it will be an absolutely great One Piece game. But as it is, I'm going to be giving One Piece Burning Blood a 6 out of 10. And that will wrap up this review. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.